Yokai are the most important thing on planet Earth in Dandadan. They are what stand between the Earth and complete alien invasion, and if it wasn't for the strongest yokai of them all, humanity would have been game-ended already. But what are these seemingly evil spirits, and what are their real-world counterparts? After all, these are supernatural beings in Japanese folklore, known for their malicious nature towards humans with their range of supernatural abilities, such as casting curses, shape-shifting, or manipulating body parts. Amongst all yokai, mountain spirits are considered extremely powerful and are sometimes worshipped as gods due to their strength and influence. However, possession by a mountain yokai is said to be fatal for average humans, leading to mental decline, cellular breakdown, and eventual death. They often target humans with high spiritual energy to possess. This is because one common trait amongst yokai is their tendency to seek out and steal the life force energy of other humans. This energy is believed to grant them power or even bring them back to life, although Turbo Granny does not believe this. Each yokai typically possesses unique abilities and traits, often reflecting their origins or circumstances in life. For example, Turbo Granny. She was a yokai famously known as the 100 km/h granny, roaming the streets, terrorizing the people of Japan. In spite of this, she also confronted the restless spirits of girls who had met tragic and untimely deaths. This care for young girls, along with Okarun's own feelings, is why Turbo Granny used Momo's mobile phone to save her from the attack from the Serpos. And yes, she can just teleport through phones like that. We later saw Okarun perform a lesser version of this same ability when trying to arrive at the Kur invasion in time to save his friends. By navigating along the spiral-shaped magnetic field that surrounds the telephone wire propelled by Turbo Granny's immense speed, he can effectively teleport and pop out, attacking enemies with crazy levels of power. However, Turbo Granny became even more formidable through a fusion with an earthbound spirit in the tunnels of Shono City. There's also a terrifying condition she uses to curse humans unlucky enough to cross her path. And without prior knowledge, it's almost a guarantee that she's going to take over your body. That's because unless you are the most down bad man to ever walk this very earth, you're going to try and run away when encountering her. And that, my friends, is step 1. If you challenge her to a race or even try and run, she will spring after you, and once she beats you, and she will, it's GG. She will steal your reproductive organs, and like that, the cursing process is done. This is how, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Okarun became her vessel, allowing Turbo Granny to use his body to unleash chaos. However, Momo's sudden manifestation of psychic powers intervened, briefly freeing Okarun from the Granny's possession, even if it meant she had to watch him take a Their battles escalated as Turbo Granny relentlessly pursued them, prompting Momo to devise strategic traps and barriers with her grandmother's assistance to confront the relentless yokai, using the speed she's so proud of against her, forcing her into a race she couldn't win. Then, thanks to the help of Granny Seiko, Turbo Granny's soul was put into a lucky cat doll. In spite of this, her powers remained in Okarun, giving him his newfound abilities, including transformation into a powerful speed-enhanced form known as All Out. Obviously, this blessed Okarun with exceptional speed, agility, and combat prowess, along with the travel through telephone lines ability we mentioned, as well as manifest himself as an astral projection. He wasn't the only one who gained extra abilities through this though, as Turbo Granny was also blessed with good luck. This saved them on multiple occasions, such as helping Momo escape from a group of pervs at a hot spring. That being said, it also works against them, as the luck can also help their enemies, such as against the Tsuchinoko. Nonetheless, after finally helping Okarun regain all his golden genitalia once and for all, their contract came to an end, and so she called it a day. With all of her powers returned from Okarun, she left the group behind. But why? Well, that's due to a dark history she has with a guy she calls the Hyper Geezer, aka Count Saint-Germain, who is a collector of the paranormal on a quest to find Dandadan. His abilities allow him to steal the powers of others, which is exactly what he did to the yokai called the Fairy Tale Card. This is a powerful yokai imprisoned within Danbanra, a separate realm created within a cursed trunk. His monstrous form comprises of multiple black tendrils adorned with distinct cards, a face, an ear, a mouth with a nose, and an upward-looking eyeball through which he communicates with. He designed the Danbanra as a whimsical world, catering to human desires appears with regions made of sweets, reflecting a skewed understanding of human needs, primarily centered on material pleasures. Despite his apparent benevolence in creating a world of delights, the fairy tale card's true nature reveals itself through its manipulation of those trapped within Danmanra. Moreover, he demonstrates a patient and calculating demeanor, keeping one man captive until old age, unmoved by the despair he inflicts. This highlights the card's self-centered views of players as mere tools in his schemes. Furthermore, the fairy tale card's interactions with Momo and her companions highlight his cunning and manipulative tendencies. He refuses Momo's requests to leave Danmanra even after they fulfill his conditions, instead using them as bait to attract new victims. His disregard for their well-being and his willingness to exploit their experiences for his own ends illustrate his lack of empathy and his singular focus on maintaining control over his domain. The Yokai's history is shrouded in mystery, as well as why he was imprisoned in Danmanra. Since he's unable to break free on his own, he devises a plan to use unwitting humans to achieve his freedom. Over time, he orchestrates events within Danmanra, subtly influencing players' actions to serve his ultimate goal of escaping his confines. When Unji finally shatters the final seal imprisoning him, the fairy tale card is freed. Even though he's initially grateful to the players involved, he quickly resumes his manipulative ways, attempting to sway Momo and others to remain in Danmanra. His refusal to grant them freedom, coupled with his efforts to turn Unji's followers against him, demonstrates his determination to maintain control at all costs. Thus, he engaged in a conflict with Count Saint-Germain, where he underestimated the Hypergease's strategic power and wits. Hence, despite his attempts to overpower Saint-Germain with his regenerative abilities and manipulative tactics, he found himself outmatched. Thus, with Saint-Germain's intervention and support by Acro, Rokuro, and Bega, the squad manages to defeat the fairy tale card, with the Hypergease ultimately killing and stealing its abilities. Moving on, we have one of the most heart-wrenching yokai in all of Dandadan, the Acrobatic Silky. This isn't just a terrifying spirit with insane abilities, her story is layered with heartbreak, desperation, and a tragic pursuit of love. She was a yokai that haunted Ira Shiratori for years, but her obsession wasn't born out of malice. In her life, she was a struggling mother who worked herself to the bone, juggling multiple jobs and even sold her body, all to provide for a beloved daughter. One day, she scraped together what little money she had to buy her daughter a lovely dress, but that one moment of happiness was quickly stolen from her. Debt collectors barged into her home, beat her savagely, and kidnapped her daughter. Broken and bloodied, she chased after the van, screaming for a child, but her efforts were futile. As the van disappeared from view, so did her hope. Thus, she made her way to the rooftops and gracefully danced off of them. This is in reference to her real-life counterpart, particularly the tale of acrobatic Sarah. This mysterious figure is said to appear on rooftops in bustling cities, performing death-defying stunts before vanishing into thin air. In the Acrobatic Silky's case, her final thoughts were of her daughter, the one person she couldn't save. Her journey as a yokai began here, fueled by grief and longing. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be fueled by vitamins, nootropics, and minerals personally, which is exactly why I drink Gamer Subs. Luckily, you can too for free using their samples, plus you can get a tasty discount when you use my code. Just check out the link below. It's the closest thing you're gonna get to supernatural powers, just like the Acrobatic Silky, who now wandered the city as a yokai, where one day a little girl approached her, mistaking her for her deceased mother. That girl was Ira Shiratori. This one meeting convinced her that Ira was her reincarnated daughter. Thus, the Acrobatic Silky spent the next decade watching over her. When the two finally crossed paths again, Acrobatic Silky attacked Ira, trying to get her to call her mother, but was rejected. This broke Acrobatic Silky's heart, making her go wild. She swallowed Ira, Momo, and Okurun, intending to keep them with her forever. But Momo, using her big brain, used a lighter to ignite the yokai's hair, forcing her to vomit them out, where together with Okurun, they defeated Acrobatic Silky once and for all. But then came the twist that truly defined Acrobatic Silky's character. Realizing that Ira appeared lifeless after being swallowed, the yokai begged Momo to use her as a spiritual battery to revive the girl. In her final moments, she remembered her real daughter and the mistakes she had made. Overwhelmed with regret, she tearfully apologized, wishing she could have done more. But instead of resentment, Ira embraced her, finally calling her mother and comforting her as her form faded away. However, Acrobatic Silky's influence didn't end with her death. She passed on her powers to Ira, allowing her to, when transformed, form to perform incredible acrobatics such as running on walls and dodging with precision. She easily evaded Mr. Mantis Shrimp's punches, Serpo's psychokinetic attacks, and explosive musical notes from the music room portraits even on slippery terrain. As a result, Turbo Granny even noted her speed rivals the Evil Eye, allowing her to perform 4 actions in a single beat. And talking of him, up next though is one of the most OP yokai of all time, one that even Turbo Granny knows not to pick a fight with, the Evil Eye. However, as a human being, the Evil Eye was just a frail little boy. Nonetheless, his fate was absolutely cruel as he was chosen as a sacrifice to save his village from a volcanic eruption. He was imprisoned whilst being malnourished, watching children play outside, yearning to join them. Thus, he died a heartbreaking death, which is why his spirit returned to haunt the sacrificial house rebuilt by the Keto family. Here, despite being a yokai, he displayed empathy when he attempted to save a boy marked for sacrifice. But his failure twisted him into a vengeful spirit consumed by a hatred for humanity, acting as the catalyst for not just his revenge-filled quest against the family, but also his burning hatred towards the entire human race. Thus, this yokai's goal was to find a suitable host and destroy every last person. Hence, the Evil Eye became bound for years in the Tsuchinoko sacrificial house. When the Enjoji family moved in, the Evil Eye targeted their son, Gigi, desiring his prodigious spiritual powers. However, Gigi's temporary stay with Momo and Seiko paused his plans. The three of them uncovered the Keto family's sacrificial practices, confronting the Tsuchinoko. However, the Evil Eye intervened, neutralizing this big worm's influence on Momo and Okarun before sharing his tragic story with Gigi. Such a story broke him, as Gigi felt nothing but sorrow for the Evil Eye. As a result, he made sure he found him and helped. And well, let's be honest, we all thought we would do the same when we first saw it too, right?
Sometimes you're right.
Well, despite Turbo Granny's warnings, both us and Gigi ended up as the Evil Eye's newest host, as he then emerged in his brand new transformation with zero control over his actions, tanking the Tsuchinoko's attack and declaring his intent to exterminate humanity. After all, with his new vessel Gigi, the Evil Eye reveled in violence, targeting humans and anything in its path. He relished challenging strong opponents and hated quitting, disapproving of yokai associating with humans after mistaking Okarun for one during their battle. In their subsequent confrontations, the Evil Eye clashed with Momo, Okarun, and others, displaying his formidable powers and relentless pursuit of vengeance. Remember, Gigi was a total prodigy when it came to the paranormal, with Turbo Granny even admitting that she would have loved a host like him as well. And so to begin with, the Evil Eye possesses a cursed power that compels people to end their lives simply by just locking eyes with it. Additionally, it can share its memories with others through eye contact, which is how it gaslighted Gigi into helping him. Once he possessed him, the yokai relied on his amazing physique to exhibit tremendous physical strength, allowing him to break objects effortlessly and kick grudge-filled balls with a formidable force using Gigi's innate footballing talent. Furthermore, the Evil Eye can fight against multiple opponents in hand-to-hand combat as well. It can summon grudges that are manifestations of sacrificed souls to create defensive structures such as the Cursed House. This barrier shields it from attacks and confines opponents, enabling the Evil Eye to attack them without any barriers from within. Much like the Ombusman, or Old Man Crying as they were known in the past, which is the spirit of a child who died during their infancy. You see, they climb onto people's backs in search of affection, and when treated with kindness, they find peace. However, rejection causes the Ombusman to grow in weight as it harbors increasing resentment. In spite of this, they possess the ability to manipulate gravity, which attracts other yokai to them, causing their size to increase exponentially before eventually crushing the human it's attached to. However, once the grudge an Ombusman has on the certain individual is dispelled, it becomes cleansed. But the instant it leaves its host, all nearby spirits will be drawn into attack, leading me onto a very important Ombusman in Dandadan, as without her, Okarun and Momo would have been done for. I'm talking talking about Mai Kawabanga. She was an Ombusman yokai that bound itself to someone very important to her, Rin Sawaki. As a human, Mai was a cheerful girl who dreamed of becoming an idol, practicing with her friends, especially Rin. But their friendship was shattered when Rin said being an idol was pointless. This really hurt Mai, and so she stopped talking to her, only to later find out that Rin was struggling to care for a sick grandmother. Once she realized that was the real reason Rin gave up on becoming an idol, Mai wanted to apologize, but never got the chance. You see, one day she discovered auditions for junior idols and urged Rin to join her, seeing it as their chance to achieve stardom. And because Rin was so goddamn talented at this, Mai didn't think it would be possible to win without her. However, when Mai went to apologize to Rin, learning of the truth of her grandmother, she died in a tragic car accident. Yet, even after death, Mai stayed by Rin's side as a spirit due to her lingering resentment, believing Rin was the reason she died. Thus, Mai was no longer the kind, gentle girl of before. Rather, Mai became stubborn and blunt, pushing Rin to pursue the dream of becoming an idol. She believed Rin had the talent and wouldn't take no for an answer. Nonetheless, during the cleansing process, Rin was forced to sing in order to keep up the barrier protecting them from the Ombusman's onslaught of yokai. Thus, Rin used all the feelings that she had spent years boiling up inside of her and turned it into a song, where at the point of the traffic accident, Mai and Rin finally made up, singing their hearts out together. Despite this, Rin wanted to be a writer. Thus, even after becoming her guardian spirit, the two argued often, but Mai still cared for her friend deep down. Whenever someone insulted Rin, Mai was the first to defend her, where despite their differences, the two remained connected, trying to understand each other's dreams in their own way, something we saw on full display during the battle against the fairy tale card Yokai. This is because when everyone was seemingly doomed to be trapped inside of the cursed trunk, Mai's idol singing activated her gravity manipulation, lifting them all, except for Momo due to other circumstances, out of the trunk. Up next though is the strongest yokai of them all, one so powerful she single-handedly saved the entire world from total alien invasion. I'm talking about Reiko Kashima, the slit-mouthed woman, or Kuchisake, which is based on a prominent figure in Japanese urban legends. According to these tales, she appears as a woman wearing a surgical mask over her mouth. Reiko will ask, "Am I beautiful?" or "Do you think I'm pretty?" If answered negatively or with fear, she unveils her disfigured mouth, slashed from ear to ear, which is why her name is the Slit-Mouthed Woman. You're smart enough to get that. However, once she reveals this form, she may either kill or mutilate her victim. There are various versions of this legend that offer different methods to evade her. Some suggested giving ambiguous answers, distracting her, or offering her money or candy to satisfy her, but not for Momo. Rather, she chose the absolute worst option to try and defeat Reiko. Because when asked the question, Momo began repeating the word pomade, which Reiko did not like. After saying it 10 times in a row, Reiko vanished, with Momo believing that she got the dub. However, she couldn't have been more wrong, because this means that the next time Momo will have to say it 100 times. And that's because pomade is a spell that expels spirits out of this dimension, but only temporarily. With each use, it becomes just less effective. Thus, Momo was forced to stay indoors, away from any mirrors or windows at all times after 10 PM for an entire week. Despite any voices she hears telling her otherwise, she had to stay indoors. This is due to Reiko's abilities, which connected to the real-life origins of Kuchikase Onna. These vary, ranging from a vengeful spirit seeking revenge for her own disfigurement to a woman mutilated by a jealous spouse. And despite primarily being based on Kuchisake Onna, Reiko Kashima incorporates elements from various yokai and urban legends. These include the Teke Teke legend, portraying the vengeful spirit of a legless woman. She's also reminiscent of Bloody Mary, the infamous Western legend where a malevolent spirit appears in mirrors when summoned by her name. All of this this hints at Reiko's arsenal of formidable abilities. Firstly, she has the power to trap people inside her mirror's hidden world by capturing their reflection. This secret place looks dark with a circle in the middle, like a mirrored version of her real mirror. Furthermore, only she can let those trapped within out. Momo tried to get the molar out, but because she caught just the slightest glimpse of Reiko in the reflection of the mirror while she was running, it was GG. Because even if just the tiniest reflection of Reiko appears, she can activate her ability and trap you as well. Once inside, she has full control and can play with or hurt you. In fact, she can even trap whole armies with just a glimpse of them in a mirror, which is how she was able to defeat the entire Kerr army that had infiltrated Earth, saving the entire planet in the process. This only goes to highlight her mirror's endless space, as those trapped within also look tiny compared to her, showing just how much power she has. But though escaping seems impossible, Reiko Kashima's prisoners can trick her vanity in order to get free, as seen when Momo and Vamola acted all cutesy, despite Reiko drawing them to do the opposite. And so this really pissed her off, thus making her let them go. However, her mirror also helps with long-range combat, as it can also act as a portal. This means she can extend the reach of her punch by punching through her mirror, with the fist coming out the other end of either another mirror or just even a shard of glass. Anything with a reflection is her toy to use. But that's not the end of what Reiko Kashima is capable of though. She can also possess people through mirrors. As long as the mirror isn't covered, she can stay connected and pretend to be someone else entirely if they look at their own reflection. On top of this, she can see into people's hearts with her mirror and know their true feelings. In this way, she can spy on them as well, making sure she attacks when it's the best chance. This is exactly how Reiko preyed on Momo by camping outside of her bedroom at night, pretending to be Ocaran. It was at that point that Reiko toyed with Momo's feelings by confessing to her, posing as Ocaran, knowing that it's what she wanted to hear deep down. Thankfully, Momo was big brain and caught onto this pretty quickly, as Reiko referred to Gigi as Mr. Gigi, despite Ocaran not using any honorifics when addressing him. Nevertheless, during her mortal life, Reiko Kashima had long black hair tied with a bow and often wore a dress and a hat, embracing her beauty. However, her final moments were in stark contrast to this. Instead, her hair was messy, she wore tattered clothes, and her legs were bandaged. This didn't stop her as a yokai being incredibly vain and narcissistic, obsessing over her own reflection in a mirror though. Because of this, insults about her appearance or attempts to steal her mirror provoke intense agitation in her. In spite of this, Reiko Kashima has a modest side, trying to maintain her decorum even when her dress is accidentally blown up, revealing her undergarments. However, she harbors deep bitterness and sadism towards her enemies. Thus, when temporarily banished by Momo's use of the word pomade, Reiko Kashima relentlessly pursued revenge, planning to torment Momo within her mirror forever. In spite of this, Reiko, frustrated by Momo's denial of her own true feelings, saw both her and Ocaran together following the Kerr invasion, reminding Reiko of her youth. As a result, she decided to abandon her quest to torment Momo and instead set off to seek love herself. However, if Momo didn't change and start to be more honest with her feelings, then Reiko stated she would take Ocaran for herself instead. Now, little is actually known about her past life except that she had a loved one and died in an airplane bombing, but with her being the strongest of the yokai and the remnants of the curse still being out there somewhere, it surely won't be long before we see her back in action once again. Likewise for Umbrella Boy, which is a yokai sealed within Unji Zuma. However, it's based on a Japanese yokai called the Kasa Obake. It takes the form of an old Japanese paper umbrella that has gained supernatural powers and a mischievous spirit. It's typically depicted with a single eye, a long tongue, and sometimes one or two small legs, moving autonomously, hopping or bouncing around like a creature with a life of its own. You see, in Japanese tradition, objects that are neglected or reach a century of age can develop a soul, transforming into a yokai. The Kasa Obake is believed to originate from such umbrellas abandoned or mistreated. Its antics include startling humans by hopping unexpectedly or simply just causing a minor ruckus, reflecting its playful nature rather than malevolence. This is why, according to Turbo Granny, Umbrella Boy is naturally considered a sweet yokai, but when provoked to fight, boy oh boy, he becomes unstoppable. This became clear in the Danmanra Cursed Trunk, where he took over Unji and unleashed chaos driven by Unji's own desire to destroy everything. You see, when one of his followers was possessed by Umbrella Boy and attacked him, Unji accidentally opened one eye and looked at the fairy tale card, succumbing to its possession. This shocked Turbo Granny, who identified the yokai and urgently asked Momo if she could use her powers. She explained that she couldn't do so without the golden Kintama, which was still in Unji's possession. Thus, with Umbrella Boy fully in control, he declared his intent to annihilate the world. In response, Momo instructed everyone to activate the Rock Hard Costinus card ability for protection against the Umbrella Boy's imminent shockwave. Then, as Umbrella Boy prepared for another attack, Momo readied to use the card again but dropped it, taking the full force of his blow, falling unconscious. Hence, Ocaran rushed in to protect her whilst the mad yokai continued its onslaught, forcing Rockero to shield Ocaran. However, Bega, a strict police officer and also the adopted father of Unji, suddenly appeared, intending to arrest them all, just adding to the chaos. However, Turbo Granny urged Ocaran to retrieve his Kintama from Umbrella Boy and join the fight while she contacted Rin for assistance. Therefore, after moving Momo to safety, Ocaran returned to the battlefield and devised a plan with Rockero's help. They engaged Umbrella Boy in aerial combat using a jetpack and created a heated tornado to trap him. They then bored him to the ground, where Ocaran retrieved his second Kintama, enabling him to transform into his Turbo Granny form before then delivering a decisive dropkick, ending the yokai's rampage. As Umbrella Boy was defeated, Ocaran noticed rain falling and saw a young boy near Umbrella Boy, pleading for him to stop bullying his older brother, seeing a glimpse into its past with Unji. Meanwhile, Bega recognized Unji under Umbrella Boy's mask, expressing confusion as he claimed to have been searching for him for ages, because remember, he too was trapped in this cursed trunk. In the end though, Unji kept Umbrella Boy's powers, vowing to use them for good. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and don't forget to ding that notification bell. Now, you're probably going to like this video on your screen as well, so go ahead and click it.